Hello.
I'm Kimberly.
I'm Michael.
And today we are reviewing the film
The Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy? That's what it's called?
Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, really? You sure?
Fall Guy.
The Fall Guy?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. The Fall Guy.
Starring Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
Directed by David Leitch, I believe. L-E-I-T. Is that how you say his name? Leitch. Anyway.
Who was a stunt coordinator, I think.
Yes, which is pretty cool. So we'll start with what we liked about the movie.
Well, okay, so...
I'll start. So what I liked about the movie is I liked that it was a celebration of stunt performers, and it was sort of like a love letter to stunt performers, the unsung heroes, because there aren't a lot of movies about stunt performers, and stunt performers don't get as much recognition as they should. Yeah. So I did like, that intention to celebrate stunt performers.
Yeah, so this particular movie is very interesting because it's a remake, or not it's a reimagining of a TV show from like the 70s or 80s starring Lee Majors about a stuntman that has all these like shenanigans happen on set and he gets framed or something. I think it's a similar story. I didn't read too much into it or about it, but it's basically this really, really convoluted plot about a stuntman. At the beginning of the film, something goes wrong with one of his stunts. This guy that Gosling plays, Colt Seavers?
Yeah, Seavers. Yeah.
Colt Seavers is his name. This guy is like... I don't know too many stuntmen, really, like I know people that have done their own stunts in things, and people that can do like fight choreography or things like that. I've never heard of someone like this. I guess maybe that's a thing, that they're just these like hot rod type guys, but he takes it to like an 11 with this sort of attitude that he has.
He definitely has a too cool for school kind of like
he's cockier than the actual. Now remember in the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt plays the stunt double for the Leonardo DiCaprio's character. Yeah. But his character is much more kind of humble and like, I'm just his stunt guy kind of thing. I don't take any credit or whatever. This character is like just over the top, and he has all these like John Wick fighting skills and all these different things. So anyway, his stunt goes wrong at the beginning of the movie, and then 2 years go by or something, and his life is in shambles. However, he's still ripped and shredded, and
he's also narrating it at the beginning. Like we hear Ryan Gosling's voice saying, "This is my girl that I'm seeing, and we have a great connection."
Yeah, he's already got a relationship going with Emily Blunt's
But you don't really see very much of their relationship, so you don't see enough of their relationship to really care.
We see them hugging.
Yeah,
they're
and
hugging
we see them have a few scenes, and then he says,
and then they're flirting about having margaritas and
on the beach, making
bad decisions on the beach or whatever. The whole time he's walking to do the stunt. Then he goes and does the stunt. Apparently the stunt is that he falls down an elevator shaft backwards, and they don't stop him in time, and he just hits the ground. Which from that height, and you're watching the film, you're like, okay, the person would be dead
or paralyzed.
But apparently he doesn't die, and he doesn't sue the studio or anything. He just goes off and is living as a maitre d' or something, but then they're
as a valet guy.
Yeah, and then they call him Gail, the film producer.
And then he narrates. The funny thing to me was he narrates like she wanted to be the girl, Emily Blunt's character. She wanted to, Sarah, I think her name is. She wanted to be there for me, but I just couldn't deal with her.
Okay, so we're getting all that information. Gail, the film producer, calls him, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about what happened. Do you think you can come back and work for us again?" I'm like,
that would never happen.
He would have sued. There would be
He would have tried to sue.
There'd be years of litigation, and there's no way he would be able to do stunts ever again after that accident.
No, he wouldn't be walking around. Yeah.
Or even if he was, he'd be on some disability. He would have.
Yeah.
It's
so
just,
it's very unrealistic.
It's like, but he's making protein shakes, and he's just kind of down and out because, oh man,
he's still super muscular. He just has longer hair, so he's been able to work out this whole time while he's healing to maintain super strong.
The conflict is that he just feels like a failure because of this.
He fell.
But now Gail calls and wants him to come back, do another film where he's the stuntman, and now this time Emily Blunt is the director. And I'm like, okay, well, why did their relationship fall apart? And it turns out he just ghosted her. He just stopped talking to her
because he just couldn't face her. He couldn't handle.
And he changed his number.
Yeah.
So she says that one point, she's like, you changed your number. I'm like, he changed his number?
So he's like, woe is me. I hurt myself, but I'm walking around now, but I can never do stunts again because it was too traumatic. And I could never call this girl that I had a great thing with because I'm just ashamed that I
So now he's
fell.
going to be the stuntman on this film called Metal Storm. Metal Storm, here's the other thing about this movie. The fake film that they're making that he's doing the stunts for,
it's like making fun of Dune.
I don't even know what it's making fun of. They're cowboys in space and there's a bunch of aliens running around and it's like this operatic love story, cosmic love story. I hate when they do that where just have it be have it the movie that they're actually making seem like it could be a
real movie,
a legit movie. Why do you have to make it so
like
that
a parody?
Why is it that the movie that they're making
has to be a parody? Yeah.
Well, but it's not even a parody.
It's bad.
It's a movie that would never exist.
Yeah.
There's no universe in which a film called Metal Storm with cowboys and they're out with spaceships fighting galactic battles with aliens would ever exist.
I mean, I feel like it could exist as like a satire of Star Wars or something, you know.
Maybe.
Or Dune. Satire.
If it was obviously a satire.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think so. I don't think that movie, I mean, there was Spaceballs back in the 80s, but that's obviously a comedy.
Yeah.
And then there was Cowboys and Aliens, but that movie's more serious and it's set in the 1800s or whatever. They're cowboys, and then aliens appear. This fake movie is just
obviously fake.
It's ridiculous.
Really
and then all of the stunts he's doing are stunts that are just outrageously dangerous. And for what? What's the scene? We're gonna roll the car. Okay, why? We never understand why they're rolling the car. It's just we're just driving the car out there and we're rolling it. And they set the record for rolls.
And they don't explain why they need an actual person in the car, because nowadays they don't really do that very much.
I don't know about exactly how all that works. I just know that a lot of the old stunts that they used to do back, the old George Miller, Mad Max days back in the 70s and 80s, they don't really...
They do VFX.
They don't really do a lot of the same level of
manual stunts.
We're gonna light someone on fire. I mean, I guess there's a safe way to do that. I don't know all the procedures, but there's a sequence where she has him lit on fire 5 times in a row,
and out of spite for ghosting
while
her.
she's talking about the themes.
It's supposed to be, and you realize when you're watching it, it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah. That
she's sort of trying to torture him for ghosting her. It's supposed to be this playful, sarcastic banter between them, but the dialogue's very cheesy. And you know that it doesn't seem natural. It just seems very cheesy and kind of corny. And even though they're both really good actors, their chemistry actually isn't that believable.
I don't even know if I would say... I mean, yes, in the past, both of them have been good actors in other things. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would say they're good actors in this movie. And I'm not sure anyone could be, because the way it's written, I mean, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to, but and it's really supposed to be meta, this commentary on the film industry and stunt people and how stunt people are always the ones that get crapped on, and then the actors get all the glory or whatever. So it's it's almost like if a stunt person had a fantasy about basically getting a one-up on their film counterparts or whatever, or their film counterparts tried to have them the whole murder plot line, I don't even want to get into that, how convoluted that is, but it's this basically and it's way too long. We're like an hour into the movie, and we're getting into this murder conspiracy where he's framed, but it's so hokey. Like, he shows up to the hotel room, the guy's dead. He comes out and he's like doing this, like to try to hide.
He's very much trying to be funny.
Yeah, always trying to be funny.
He's not playing it really straight. He's very self-aware as an actor in this. I don't know if he was directed to be that way, but he seems very much like self-aware. It's like the stakes aren't really that, like, he's not playing it as if the stakes are high. He's not playing it serious. He's playing it like he's trying to be funny and like, oh, there's a dead guy. What?
I think my issue, like, if you talk about Ryan Gosling, I like Emily Blunt in that I feel like she commits a lot, and like in those scenes where it's just the two of them, I feel like she's really like in love with him in those scenes. I feel like he's just sort of playing it very like what's the word, sort of cheeky in those scenes, but he himself, I feel like he's gotten to a point where he's like so overconfident that he actually, to me, becomes a little unlikable suddenly.
Yeah,
because he's
so cocky.
He's so arrogant about the fact that, and so we never really see him like really destroyed or like go through the valleys that you kind of need in most movies where you have a character like this. You need that character to go through peaks and valleys.
Exactly, and I think they attempted to do that, because there is that one, but in a comical way. There's this one scene where he's in the car and he's supposed to be crying, listening to Taylor Swift music as he replays these memories of the two of them. Now, the memories that he's seeing, we're saying
generic memories,
and those memories are like
they're at a fair. Eating cotton candy.
Yeah, the most cliche. And then he's crying. So I get that it's supposed to be funny. And then the other time we see him be somewhat vulnerable is when at the end, when he's on the boat and he calls her and he says,
I didn't buy a second of that.
It was like, we were supposed to see like, oh, now he's being vulnerable.
The truth is, I never got over it. The truth is, I never stopped loving you. Is that from a song? I think it might be from a song. You could use that line. I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's so easy. There's no stakes. There's nothing to be lost. It's just trying to be fun.
Yeah.
And I think maybe when you make something like this, like I was thinking about films that are kind of comparable, right? Like action, comedy, romance.
Yeah.
And one that came to mind that I love is an older film called Romancing the Stone, which is a great action romantic comedy that is about a romance novelist who goes to rescue her sister, and then the whole film becomes a romance novel, and then Michael Douglas is in it, and he plays this really funny kind of guy who's down and out, who like gets embroiled, and then they both fall in love, and it's really good. It's Zemeckis, the guy who did Back to the Future.
We should watch that. I've never seen that. Comment below if you've seen that movie.
We did watch that.
I did?
Yeah, Romancing the Stone. Remember Danny DeVito's in it. Michael Douglas is in it. She's the writer, and they go to Colombia, South America.
Oh, I remember. Okay, I couldn't remember the name of it.
Anyway.
Yeah, that was entertaining.
Then they run into drug dealers.
I remember that.
And the drug dealers are about to kill them, and the drug dealer's like, he's like, or I guess you're going to ride us out of this one, Joan Wilder. And then the drug dealer's like, Joan Wilder?
Right.
I read your books. Come in. I read all your books.
I remember it now.
Okay, so that is and the reason is because it blends the balance. I mean, the action, like, nowadays the action sequences are so insane, and it's like we're watching. They're like, "Are you gonna come to karaoke?" And then he's like late for karaoke, and I'm like, "Of course he's not gonna make it to karaoke on time."
That's like, he can't just call her or text her.
But while she's doing her song at karaoke, we're basically watching a Mad Max Fury Road chase sequence,
action scene.
But the action scenes are so insane.
Yeah.
Are so out of control. And then, but like, they're trying to have fun. I get that. The point I'm making is that
it's so unrealistic that
it's a balance, because if this is a movie, if it had been done in a certain way, and it had been very smart in the way it kind of blends genres and plays with the meta stuff. And then we really believe that these characters were kind of like sort of unrequited but meant for each other in a way. Then it would work. The characters there has to be something real that we can grab onto. The whole movie, we know it's not real. We know we know the whole thing is bogus. And so they're kind of winking at us the whole time.
Yeah.
Both actors are winking at us the whole time.
Like, we're going to end up together.
Yeah, I mean, like, how it's going to end. Like, so there's this whole kind of like, all right, how much longer is this? And that's what we were like, oh my God, it's still going. It's very long. It's still going.
So one of the things we were talking about, like, there are some pros, right? It's not like all bad. Like, it's shot well. I think the acting isn't great, but it's not bad. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just it could have been better. Yeah. But I do think the stunts were actually, I mean, they were well performed, well executed stunts. Yes, they were like over the top, ridiculous, would never ever happen, but they were, the shot well, filmed well. So, in the film's defense, the stunts were well executed.
Yeah, my favorite part of the movie is at the very end, after the credits, we start to see all of the action sequences that we had just watched, and we see the stunt people doing the stunts.
The real people.
Stunts.
And that was the thing I liked. I liked the intention to celebrate stunt performers and stunt workers, because they don't get celebrated as much as they should, I think. So that was the one thing I liked about it, but
unfortunately, it's a very forgettable movie. Yeah. Nobody's gonna look like if this movie becomes some kind of like cult hit where like 10 years from now people are like, oh my God, The Fall Guy, it's my favorite, I'll be shocked. I don't think it's that. And I think it could have been that, actually. It could have, like, that's the thing about these kinds of movies. You never know. Like, if you do it well, if you make a Back to the Future, it can actually become a movie that everyone loves.
I think that if we were able to care about if they showed more of a reason to root for the characters from the very beginning, like if we saw something special and unique about their connection at the beginning, we would root for them more. I think that was one thing that was missing. Yeah. I also think if the dialogue was written a little more clever, a little more witty, like it just wasn't written. It was corny, hokey.
It needed. I think it needed like a couple more rewrites, and they needed to actually do a revision where they rethought the entire plot and tried to figure out maybe a simpler way to do all this. Yeah. And then maybe figure out a different movie than Metal Storm to be the fake movie that they're making. There's a lot of problems with it.
So would you recommend people go watch it?
Well, so I don't know what else is out right now. After it was over, I was like, I like Furiosa better than that. And you and I both had kind of mixed feelings about Furiosa, but Furiosa is, to me, a far more impressive film, and it's not doing well. Yeah. And I don't know if this one's doing well either. Yeah. But if I had a choice between this and Furiosa, I'd rather see Furiosa.
So you would not recommend going to see it?
Not paying whatever the movie ticket prices are. It's like a lot of money. So,
right. I would recommend going to see this if you like making fun of cheesy movies. If you have fun, like poking fun at like cheesy movies, then maybe you would have fun with this movie. Or if you're just like super in love with Ryan Gosling acting too cool for school, then go see the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
do you think do you think stunt performers would enjoy this? Like, do you think they would
Yeah, I think that it's one of those that if you're a stunt person and you worked on it, or you're the problem though is like it's so unrealistic how movie sets are run.
Yeah, it's so far-fetched because
that's not how directors.
If you've ever been on a movie set, the director would not be there. So we know because we're actors.
The director's on the bullhorn talking to the stunt guy about how he's the themes of the film or whatever, and then she keeps having him redo the stunt where he gets lit on fire. just would never happen. And also, she wouldn't be the one doing that. It would be the second AD would be running around doing that, yelling action cut or telling the dolly person not to bump or what. So like they know how movie sets are run, but they also know that most people don't know how movie sets are run. So they're gonna just make it seem however. So it's kind of it's like authenticity is so important to me. If you don't have real things in movies, if you have a bunch of fake stuff in a movie,
it just pulls you out of
even
it.
if we don't know about this stuff, we kind of...
You can't get invested.
People are not that stupid. And that's kind of how I feel like they're treating the audience in this movie. They're treating the audience like they're dumb, like, oh, it doesn't matter. They won't know that that's not how it works. Whatever.
So you wouldn't recommend people watch it?
Well, also, like at the end... when we see the real stunt people and you see all of the care and the coordination that's going into each stunt and how they're like kind of watching, and
that was more interesting.
That's so much more interesting than watching some guy go, all right, man, go ahead and flip it. Just flip it. Just do it. Oh, wait, you're going to miss the shot. Better flip it. Like, there's no...
That would never happen.
That doesn't exist. Like, because they're like, oh, shit, you're gonna ruin the shot or ruin the camera.
Yeah.
No.
It's very contrived.
They're worried about the person's safety and making sure that, like, they don't have any crazy... Like, that's actually, in a way, this kind of makes me angry.
And the whole setup, too, where supposedly the actor who Ryan Gosling's character was the stunt double for, it's revealed at the end that he pushed a button that somehow made that contraption fall, right?
Yeah.
By the push of a button.
I don't even want to get into that guy, because that whole thing...
That would never happen. Like, first of all, would he even be near that?
Right, yeah. No one's looking, and he pushes the button.
And he just pushes a button that somehow alters it's gonna make him fall.
It's going to make his thing miss the mark.
It's just so silly.
And then, of course, at the end, when we get to all the action stuff where it's the big... of course there's a chase scene.
Yeah.
Of course there's bad guys. Of course there's a gun. Of course they have to get some piece of evidence away from the bad guys so they can prove to the cops that they're the good guy. The same shit you've seen a million times ends up is what happens at the end of this movie.
Very predictable.
And of course, he has to like jump onto a helicopter and do the most insane like acrobatics
like,
that
that would
never happen in real life. And it's like, can't there just be something that is halfway believable?
Yeah.
Another action comedy that's a great action comedy that's also a romance is it's an older film that James Cameron directed called True Lies. Do you ever see that?
I don't think so.
It stars Jamie Lee Curtis and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh.
And
I know about this movie. I've never seen it. It's a
great movie, and it's a very similar vibe to this. He's a secret agent. She thinks he's her husband. She thinks he works in computers.
Okay.
And then she figures out, or she gets somehow involved in his secret agent work, and then we have action, and then we have them sort of rekindling their marriage.
So that's actually well done. So comment below if you've seen True Lies. Comment below if you think I should watch True Lies. So an action romance movie I enjoyed was
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
How did you know? Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I had so much fun watching that. I thought that's
a great movie.
Yeah.
And it's well directed.
The chemistry is really believable and really fun, and it's like clever dialogue. Like the scene between, my favorite part of that movie was like when after they've fought each other, they're literally about to shoot each other, and then
he's
instead
about to let her shoot him, and then they start having sex.
And then instead they start making out, but it's this like rough, like we're gonna like destroy the whole place like scene, and that was funny. It was genuinely
that's
funny.
Exactly like True Lies. They're very similar.
Yeah.
And the action sequences, even though they are a little far-fetched, still somewhat believable.
It has to have enough believability for you to be like, okay. You know, you can't just be like, right, that would happen.
Yes, and also, they are also really funny. True Lies was a remake of a French film with a similar concept, and it's got great side actors, like Bill Paxton's in it, and Tom Arnold, and these different actors that are kind of fill in the gaps for where, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger's fine, but he's actually funny, but
Yeah.
they kind of fill it in for him. Ryan Gosling, I think he's funny. I think he's got a lot of charisma, et cetera, et cetera. I know he's like, after doing Kin, he's like on Mount Everest, peak of the world right now. But man,
he's
like,
kind of obnoxious in
it's
this.
obnoxious
In this,
because
yeah.
we're watching him for 2 hours
I didn't
straight.
really like him very much. I was like, man, he's kind of a douche. Like, that's how I felt about him.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Like,
but if we could see him, like, I know he has the little scene on the phone where he starts tearing up.
but it just doesn't seem, you're not buying it. Yeah.
At that point, it's like it's almost over.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it just does, like, and I've seen him in other
Where he's
roles.
really good.
I've seen him in other roles where he really
Crazy Stupid Love, he was great in.
Yeah, he's great in Crazy
He
Stupid
starts off arrogant, and then you see
That's
him
right.
break down.
He's arrogant, and then he
And you see
comes
the
down.
layers.
Yeah, he comes down a notch, and we see that he's actually really insecure.
Yeah.
And that, like, so he's kind of forgotten that thing, that because in this, I mean,
The Notebook he was good in, you know. He's good in a lot of movies, but Drive he was good in.
Blue Valentine, he's good. You know, so yes.
So I'm a fan of Ryan Gosling, but not really in this one. And
Right.
I love Emily Blunt, but
Yeah.
not so. I mean, I actually like her more in this than Ryan, I will say.
Yeah, she's really good. All right, what do you give it out of 10?
So out of 10, I would give it like a 2.
2?
A 2 out of 10.
I don't know if I give it a 2.
I would give it like a 2 out of 10.
Really? Wow. Okay.
That's just from my personal perspective. I'm not saying.
I would give it a 5.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, they put a lot of money into it, and they have
It
a lot of.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Money
but I mean,
doesn't
I'm
buy-
saying, like, if you compare, like, there are movies that are really bad.
Right, that's why I don't give it a 1. I give it a 2.
Yeah, stream it if you want to have, you know, a laugh, some fun. There's some fun stuff in it, but.
And comment below if there is an action romance comedy that we didn't name that you think we should watch. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.